Hey guys, it's Happy Wednesday. On this particular Wednesday, we're doing our movie night starting a little earlier, 6:30. All the proceeds that are of the concessions will go to help offset some costs for our youth camp. And so we really encourage you to come on out. It's gonna be a great movie, great family time, popcorn, hot dogs, all that kind of stuff. It's gonna be a great night. Bring the whole family, bring a friend. It's gonna be a great night. And so we've been talking about generosity or giving ourselves away. The word generous again is showing a readiness to give more of something as money or time than is strictly necessary or expected, given over, and above. Generosity, of course, is at the root of the character and nature of God. God is love, and we know love gives. And we know John 3:16 says this, "For this is how God loved the world. He gave his one and only Son, so that everyone who believes in him will not perish, but have everlasting life." And so yesterday we talked about being a peacemaker. We talked about that over in Ephesians 5. It says, watch what God does, and then you will do it. Like children who learn proper behavior from their parents, mostly what God does is love you. Keep company with him and learn a life of love. Observe how Christ loved us. His love was not cautious but extravagant. He didn't love in order to get something from us, but to give everything of himself. Love like that. I like that. And so listen to this quote. We are called to live our lives in such a way that our life is poured out as a sacrifice for mankind and humanity. And humanity is better because you live, because you showed up on that job, because you were born into that family. Life was better because of you, and we thank God for you today. And so we know this is totally different, counterintuitive to our society, where everything's about ourselves and selfishness and unforgiveness that's going rampant in society. So we, the church, must be more generous, and we got to be those peacemakers, as I mentioned that we talked about yesterday. But we also got to be others-minded to combat the selfishness and unforgiveness in society. Philippians 2 says this, "And when you do things, do not let selfishness or pride be your guide. Instead, be humble and give more honor to others than to yourselves. Do not be interested only in your own life, but be interested in the lives of others." And it's so important that we recognize that. It's so important even in church that we just begin to remember people's names. I just pray, God, help me to remember people's names and speak to them and give them that good eye contact. So be other people minded. One of the biggest tricks of the enemy is to get us to become self-focused and self-centered. Our language has even gotten littered with terms that speak selfishness, where people say YOLO, you only live once, and it's all about the bag, and I gotta get mine, and other things, other terms that we're saying even in the church. We're saying these things in the church, but all these mindsets really run contrary to the character of God, because what is God really like? What is God really like? Look at Galatians chapter 5. He says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness," and it says goodness, faithfulness. Verse 23 says gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law. And so the word goodness is agathosune. It's from the root word agathos, meaning to be benevolent, profitable, benefiting others. It describes an active goodness, a virtue, excellence, or generosity. Listen to this quote about this word, goodness. Let me scroll back there. It says this: "It finds its fullest and highest expression in that which is willing and sacrificially done for others. It is moral and spiritual excellence. It is manifested in active kindness. It describes a positive moral quality characterized especially by an active interest in the welfare of others. It is generosity that springs from our heart, that is kind and that will always take care to obtain for others, that is useful and beneficial." Persons operating in this biblical goodness are motivated to just do right by everybody. It's important to note that it's purely Bible word that does not occur in secular Greek. So this is goodness and generosity that proceeds from selfless love, God with no hidden motive or agenda, simply wants everyone to win. Let's live that kind of life. Let's demonstrate the goodness of God in our lives, in our homes, in our school, in our churches, in our families. We love you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Faith for Today podcast.